everybody. Welcome to today's 1 million by 1 million online rendezvous session. 1M by 1M, as you know, is the first and only global virtual accelerator for technology startups in the world. And this is Sramana, Mitra, founder and CEO of 1M by 1M, coming to you live from Silicon Valley, California. If you've attended these sessions before, you are familiar with the platform and familiar with the format. For those who are coming for the first time, I welcome you, and let me give you a little bit of overview of what we are doing here. You know, we touch our community of over 500,000 people from many different touch points. And these rendezvous, online rendezvous live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter are one of those pieces of touch points. If you have a project that you are working on, a startup project, whether you've launched it already in revenue or just on a napkin, just in thinking stage, you can get feedback from me on our 1M by 1M roundtables. These are free mentoring roundtables. So let me explain to you how to get to that. Go to the 1mby1m.com website, go to free public roundtables, and you'll find the schedule there. You'll find the registration links there. You can go register to pitch or attend, and all the instructions and details are there. We've done more than 500 of these sessions. Over 150,000 people have attended. So you are most welcome to bring your project. These are safe working sessions. We will work with you there and brainstorm about your strategy. These sessions are a little bit different. These sessions are Q&A sessions where what we have done is collected questions from all our different touch points and brought them here so that we can go through a battery of those questions. And as we are doing that, we encourage you to ask your questions in public chat, and either I will come and answer those questions on each of the platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter, and dialogue with you after the video portion of this conversation is over. Or we will pick up your question and make it part of our next week's programming. So either way is fine. By all means, participate, by all means, ask your questions, and that is what we are intending here is dialogues so that we address things that are on your mind. So let me go to the first question today. The first question is, can a startup be run without a physical office? Well, we are in COVID era. You are all working without going into the physical office. We are all working from home. So I think the answer has already been accepted as a resounding yes. A few notes, 1 million by 1 million doesn't have brick and mortar offices. We are a global virtual accelerator operating 100% as a global virtual company. And we do have our colleagues in all different parts of the world. I'm in Silicon Valley, and several of my colleagues are sprinkled around different parts of the world. We have people in New Jersey, Florida, the Philippines, India, and so on and so forth. And we have a lot of case studies. As you know, if you've attended before, 1 million by 1 million is very much a believer in case study based learning. We have thousands of case studies of entrepreneurs who have done it before, who have built successful businesses, and we are learning from them, and we are helping you learn efficiently from them. So case studies are a very important phenomenon in our thought process. So here are some case studies of virtual companies that you can go and look at. And here's how to look at those case studies. Go to the blog again, 1mby1m.com. Go to the site. The website is 1mby1m.com, and on there you will find the blog, the top navigation link that says blog, leads you to the blog. And then on the left navigation panel of the blog, you will find entrepreneur journeys. Entrepreneur journeys are our flagship content. We invite entrepreneurs to tell their stories of how they have built their companies block by block, brick by brick, how they've put one foot before the other. These are very detailed, intricate journeys into the journeys of entrepreneurs. So they're very inspiring to read, very educational to read. So 2 pointers on the topic of virtual companies. One is Percona. Percona has bootstrapped to $25 million, and it's a virtual company. You can look it up on the Entrepreneur Journey series. And Form Assembly has bootstrapped to $20 million. This is a bootstrapping as a virtual company, and it's also bootstrapping with a paycheck model. That's another technique we use a lot. We use virtual company techniques. We use bootstrapping with a paycheck techniques. We use bootstrapping using services techniques. We use bootstrapping by piggybacking techniques. So these are all, great case studies to go through. And then the last case study that I'm going to point you to is PC Pitstop, $20 million company, also virtual. So that's a good start into case studies of virtual companies. And as I said, the answer today, if there was any ambiguity, any doubt that a startup can be run without a physical office, that has been put to rest in the COVID era, because we're all running companies in a virtual office mode. The other thing to think about trend-wise in this context is, big companies like Twitter, Facebook are saying that they are going to allow the majority of their employees to work from home. And they're even declaring that they don't care if their employees move to other places and perpetually work from home. So what that will do most likely is move people away from these extraordinarily expensive hubs like Silicon Valley, where a small one-bedroom apartment or a tiny studio costs $5,000 a month. It's very difficult to raise a family in these kinds of very space-constrained environments, and so expensive. So if you have the option of moving to an off-center place, a smaller town, smaller city, where real estate costs and cost of living are dramatically cheaper, you can afford a single-family home by all means at that price, or maybe 50% of that price, with a garden, etc. And people are going to take up on that offer. And I think there's going to be a lot of decentralization, and that's going to happen. As a result, a lot of highly educated people are going to move off center. I don't know to what extent this same phenomenon is going to happen in Asia. It will happen, I think, in due course. Like if you're based in Bangalore, can you work from Indore, for instance? Can you work from Calcutta, for instance, if you're employed by a company in Bangalore? Remains to be seen. But I can see that it's already happening in Silicon Valley, and Silicon Valley tends to be a precursor to what happens in the rest of the world. I believe it's happening in London. People are moving to the outskirts of London or to the suburbs of London, to the country. So I think it will happen to a large extent. I've been reading that it's happening in France. So let's see how this trend plays out. But this is a trend very much in favor of virtual companies and running without a physical office. And the reason I brought up the decentralization point is that the minute you have a lot of highly educated, very capable people living in different parts of the world, not concentrated in the core areas, hub areas like Silicon Valley. There will also be startups from those areas. And this model of virtual companies, of people, employees being distributed all over the world and working from their homes, is also going to, pick up steam. It's already a trend. We see this all the time. Entrepreneurs are doing it all the time. But I think it's going to just go full throttle as we move to the next, to the post-COVID era, the next era of startups. So that's my long answer to your question. Can a startup be run without a physical office? The answer is a resounding yes. Next question is, how do solo founders build multi-million-dollar businesses? Well, the way I look at it is, you always start alone. Are people telling you that solo entrepreneurs cannot succeed? You should not believe them. You always start alone. You can ask Sean Roy here, one of my favorite solopreneur case studies. Again, you'll find the case study on the 1M blog, 1mbym.com. Go to the top navigation panel, find blog, go to the blog, find the left navigation panel, entrepreneur journeys, and you'll find Sean's case study there. The company is called Fine Art America. He started alone. It was a marketplace for visual artists to sell prints of their works. It took him 3 years to get to $1 million. In 5 years, Sean was doing $5 million in revenue with just 3 employees. Today, it's much bigger. You always start alone. Now, there are subtleties. You're going to have to pay attention to those subtleties. The subtleties are, investors don't like solo entrepreneurs. So the way to navigate that challenge is, either you get a co-founder. So if you're a technical co-founder, get maybe a business person. If you're a business founder, maybe take a technical person to be your co-founder. Investors typically prefer, especially in the early stages, prefer at least a duo, not a solo. But there's a big caveat. That caveat is traction. If you can bootstrap your way as a solo entrepreneur to traction, and you have, like Sean has, you have $5 million in revenue, your business model is validated, you can show a really good TAM, they would not care. At that point, your business has shown to be robust and scalable, and it's validated. So at that point, they will say, okay, we can put in money and surround this entrepreneur with high caliber people, and we don't need to worry so much about this being a solo founder journey. So the answer that solo founders cannot be funded is not a correct answer. That's a false answer. So yes, solo founders can be funded, but solo founders, to get funded, have to bootstrap their way to sufficient validation that the investor question of, can this company get to validation, get to some level of traction, that de-risking has already happened, and investors can now really evaluate your business model, your business thesis, and how that's playing out. And they will take the assumption that that point is that the team can be built around this business. Especially if you have money to build a team, building a team is not that difficult. So the other side of this coin is, while you are bootstrapping as a solo founder, how do you build this business? And I'll go back to what I said earlier about virtual companies. Virtual teams that you can hire, and especially hire from these freelance marketplaces like Upwork, are a very big piece of this journey. As a solopreneur, surrounding yourselves with people who can help you scale in a flexible mode is important. So look into how virtual companies are being built. There are There are incredibly talented people that you can bring onto your team. And our team, for example, we work virtually. Each person on the team has worked with us at this point, the core team. Each person has worked with us for close to a decade. So if you can build that kind of a virtual team that has longevity, that has low attrition, and this immense constancy, immense fluidity, training, understanding of how your business works, that's incredibly valuable, and it really releases your stress to a great degree. And entrepreneurship is a stressful journey, so ways in which you can preserve your mental balance and mental health and keep stress to a minimum is very helpful. So the third question is again a related question. Do you need to go to Silicon Valley to create a great tech company? Well, the answer is most definitely no at this point. Can you build a great company outside of Silicon Valley? Absolutely, yes, you can. I will point you to one case study, but we have lots of case studies of great companies being built out of lots of different places. So go dig around in the Entrepreneur Journey series on the blog that I've pointed you to already. In 1999, Greg Gianforte started a company called Right Now in Montana. Montana is not exactly the startup hub. It's completely off-center geography. Greg lived in Montana and loved Montana. It is a beautiful place. I've been there. I don't know if you've been there. It's a really beautiful place, and it has great quality of life. And for some people who have certain passions like fly fishing, for instance, and then around there is a lot of skiing. You have Jackson, Wyoming, etc., big ski resorts, Grand Teton Mountains. It's a very, very outdoor sports kind of place, and the cost of living is very low. Greg bootstrapped Right Now to $6 million in revenue. And that is one of the case studies that I really love. He went and talked to, 100 prospects, and then a large percentage of these prospects became his customers once he built the product. He really understood the problem of his customers well. Greg raised Series A funding from Silicon Valley VCs at a valuation of $130 million. Can you imagine? Series A funding at $130 million. At that time, it was unheard of. Right Now went public in 2004. In 2011, Right Now was acquired by Oracle for $1.5 billion. Greg hired talent from all over America. People moved to Montana because the quality of life is wonderful. So you have two options. If you go to an off-center place, there are other people who are looking for quality of life and who may be willing to move to an off-center place and live somewhere else where there's a higher quality of life. That option is number one. And option number two is scaling virtually by hiring people in different parts of the world who continue to live where they are living and work for your company. The cost of living in Montana, in Greg's case, was very low, and the competition for talent was not huge, like it is in Silicon Valley. Employee attrition is very low in Montana. So this is a model that you should contemplate, especially now in this post-COVID era. It's very much worth considering. And if you have roots in some place, that's off-center, that's different, maybe somewhere in Maine, maybe somewhere in Wisconsin, these are very nice places where you can build a great tech company, maybe going back to your roots where your family is, and so on and so forth. So I'm giving you examples from the US, but there are companies being built in Brittany and France. I've done case studies from there. We have lots of case studies in Germany. We have case studies in the Netherlands. We have case studies in Belgium. We have lots of case studies in India, all over India, actually. One of my favorite case studies is a company called Pinnacle CAD Systems in Durgapur in West Bengal, India. This is not a big city. It's a smaller industrial town, but this company has become one of the largest employers there and one of the biggest success stories. When I did their case study, they were doing like $6-7 million. And I saw the founder at a conference this January, and he told me they were doing $43 million a year in 2019. So great success story. And, building up small economies is also wonderful. I recently did a case study of an entrepreneur who's been a long-time reader of our blog. I think he's been reading the blog for 13 years or something like that. And he's built a company in a London Coimbatore mode. Coimbatore is a smaller city in Tamil Nadu, India. It's not far from Chennai, but it's not Chennai, which is a very large city, but it's a smaller city. So he has, maybe 6 people in London, and he has 130 people in Coimbatore, India. And the company is doing about $11 million. So it's really, we are seeing this model a lot right now. And lots of companies have been built, and VCs are very accustomed to this model now. They understand the benefits of this model. They understand the value of this model of being able to scale in a place where you don't have to compete for talent so much. So I think, you have many different permutations and combinations that you can use of this model. You can do Greg Gianforte's model of doing something in Montana or another place where you put your company, including your employees there. You can do a virtual company model where your employees are all over the place, and you're basically building a virtual company model. Or you can do this, let's say Silicon Valley Coimbatore model or a London Coimbatore model, where you have a very small number of players in, core team members in one place, which is a more expensive place, but you do all the scaling of hundreds of people in a low-cost geography. All of those are viable models. Investors are completely up to speed on all of these models and are very comfortable working with all of these models at this point. So the fact that you have to move part and parcel to Silicon Valley at this point is false. You don't have to do that. And it is a great liberating phenomenon, because I want to tell you a story of what happened to me when I was doing this remote development model way early. It was 1997. I started a company I was in Silicon Valley. I was a solo founder in Silicon Valley, and I had 30 people in Calcutta, India. And we had built a product, a first version 1 product. I had already got customers in Silicon Valley to use the product, paying customers. So my business was validated, but I couldn't get VCs. There were like 47 VCs who said no, because my company had this model of doing development work in India. It took me until the end of 1998 finally to raise $1 million. Actually $2 million, $1 million from angels, another $1 million from NEA, which is a top VC in Silicon Valley. But it was really harrowing, absolutely. And then about 4 or 5 years later, I would say 2003, around the 2003 timeframe, VCs were asking entrepreneurs, what is your India strategy? Are you doing product development in India? They realized that the cost structure benefit is so high that you can build a company for a much smaller amount of money by doing product development in an offshore geography where there is talent pool, and the assumptions, the pushbacks completely went away. Everything was a very different world. So, COVID has pushed us really over the edge. We have gone one more iteration further in this mode of thinking. So now I think you will have a really easy time. And we've seen some wonderful companies go public, really great companies that come from different geographies. If you look at Atlassian, for instance, it's a $44 billion market cap company trading in NASDAQ, in American stock exchanges. And this company was bootstrapped from Australia and didn't raise any financing until they were ready to go public, and then they raised a mezzanine round and went public in America. Wonderful company, has grown tremendously as a public company, great market cap increase, etc., stock price increase. If you're an investor in Atlassian, you know what I'm talking about. So I think people have seen enough examples, and investors work in comparables. They're kind of looking for, oh, has this been done before? Has this been done before? They're like, looking for comparables. Is there precedence to success of what you're saying you want to do? Now, there is tremendous precedence on, going to a different geography and scaling a company in a different geography, or even scaling virtually. So you have absolutely nothing to worry about. But the one overwhelming conclusion you should take away from this is, if you have been able to bootstrap your company to an extent and show that you have a validated company that is growing fast and you have paying customers and you have a reasonable velocity of customer acquisition, you are in a stronger position to raise money. So try to get to that. Our mantra in 1 million by 1 million is, do not go to VCs as beggars, go as kings. And that is a mantra that I would like you to internalize as you go through your entrepreneurial journey. All right, so I think, today's session, just to synthesize, has been all about questions that have to do with the virtual company trend, being off center, off Silicon Valley, and even off other hubs like New York, like Boston, like Bangalore, like London. I think, yes, you can start a company without a physical office. You can do virtual companies. Can you build a company as a solo founder? Yes, you can. Do you need to go to Silicon Valley to create a great company? No, you don't. So everything is about freedom, about liberty. This is freeing up a much, much greater number of entrepreneurs, greater diversity of entrepreneurs to do what they want to do from anywhere in the world. And new hubs have developed. Utah has developed as a great hub for bootstrapped entrepreneurship. And Utah entrepreneurs have no difficulty raising money in Silicon Valley. They're doing it over and over again. I have many case studies of Utah entrepreneurs being very successful as bootstrapped entrepreneurs and then also raising lots of financing from Silicon Valley. So, it's a very interesting time in that the globalization of entrepreneurship is full steam right now. In our roundtables, we see entrepreneurs from Africa a lot these days. And it's great to see that African entrepreneurs are, finding their resources they need and coming to the roundtables, asking questions. And we are able to help them as well. We see companies from Latin America. We obviously see companies from Asia. Asia has always been active. So I'm, very optimistic about the next phase of entrepreneurship, post-COVID or during COVID entrepreneurship, where people are building companies from all over the world. I will go to my last question today, which is, how can I get feedback from you on my venture? Well, you have to come to the roundtables, the free mentoring roundtables. If you go to our website, 1mby1m.com, on the top navigation panel, there is free mentoring roundtables, free public roundtables. Those are mentoring sessions. We offer free online mentoring roundtables to entrepreneurs looking to discuss issues like positioning, financing, and all other aspects of building a startup venture. Customer acquisition strategies we discuss all the time. Up to 5 entrepreneurs who register to pitch will be able to present their businesses. They will get straightforward feedback, advice on next steps, answers to questions from me, as well as some of my guests at these sessions. So you can register to attend, listen and learn, and join in the conversations via a live chat also. And if you want to pitch, register to pitch. The upcoming sessions are, the first one, immediate next one, is this Thursday, September 24th. You're very welcome to come. And then in October, we have October 1st, 8th, 15th, 22nd, and 29th. So you're welcome to come to any of those sessions. And by all means, take advantage of this program. We are there week after week after week. We recently did our 500th roundtable on September 10th. And it is a milestone. It is a major milestone. Over 150,000 people have attended these sessions. So we're very proud and very humbly proud, as I say, of being able to maintain such normalcy in the face of such turbulence. The world is upside down right now. And at the face of this kind of enormous disruption, enormous turbulence, we are maintaining normalcy. We are there for the entrepreneur community of the world. And we hope that you will take advantage of the programming. And then if you want to go further, if you're looking for more intense, more extensive help from us, go look at 1M by 1M Basic, which is our curriculum only offering, or join the full acceleration program, that's 1M by 1M Premium. All of that is on our website. You will be able to join the program and access all our resources, including online mentoring, including getting access to our Rolodex, getting introduced to potential customers, channel partners, investors, media, analysts, whomever you need to reach that we are connected to. And we help you with financing as well. And we work with entrepreneurs all around the world. All right, folks, be safe, be well. We will see you either Thursday for the free public roundtable or see you next week for another rendezvous. Bye. Thanks for coming.